Hi, this is Mayor Sandy Roberson. I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the Mayor's Brief. Tharrington's Auto Works and Collision Center, Rocky Mount Radiator, and Davenport Auto Park. I am grateful to each of them for their support of this program. Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? I want to thank you for coming and talking, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you and maybe even brainstorming on what we can do in this community to create some tourism.
Yeah, that sounds great. So my name's Wit Tuttell. I'm the director of Visit North Carolina, which is the state's tourism promotion office. We're part of the Economic Development Partnership in North Carolina, which is a private nonprofit that works with the Department of Commerce to try and bring economic development through either by getting companies to relocate here, helping existing companies to expand, or getting visitors to come and spend their dollars in our communities and provide to the tax base. So I handle the tourism marketing end of that work to try and help the state's economy and therefore help all the citizens.
Oh man, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about North Carolina and tourism. Like I was mentioning earlier, I'm always amazed where North Carolina ranks, at least in a pre-COVID world, in tourism dollars spent. I mean, it's always surprisingly large, considering when I think of tourism, I think of Florida, I think of California. But can you just kind of share a little bit of that with us?
Yeah, no, you're right. We're the sixth most visited state in the country. And in 2019, the last year we have really good data for, visitors spent more than $26 billion in North Carolina. It was more than 50 million people came here. You don't think about it because so many of our attractions don't really advertise. They're parks or they're federal lands or they're things that attract people, but they don't really have the marketing budgets of the places like Florida. Now those guys still are way beyond us. I think Orlando sees more visitors than the entire state of North Carolina sees. But when you get beyond the New Yorks, the Floridas, the Californias, we're right up there as the sixth most visited state in the country.
I mean, that is just fantastic. So, where is it? I mean, obviously, Nags Head, the Outer Banks are an attraction. Obviously, the mountains of North Carolina are, but are there places that have kind of created their own attractions that perhaps
Oh,
people
certainly.
can use as economic drivers?
Oh, undoubtedly, and we're really gifted because of our diversity and our variety. So, we've got people that you're a mountain person, we got something for you. You're a beach person, we got something for you. You're a sports person, we've got something for you. We can really do it all. The old slogan we used to have was variety vacation land, and you really do get it all. I think people don't realize, though, a lot of that visitation comes to the urban areas in the Piedmont, Charlotte and Raleigh, Durham, Winston-Salem, through sports events or meetings or conventions. Now, those areas are really hurting right now, but in a typical year, they draw a lot of people for reasons other than natural scenery, which is kind of what we're known for.
Sure. Well, talk about the convention business. Where have you seen people be successful, and how would a community like Rocky Mount maybe try to tap into something like that?
Yeah, so I think part of a convention success is location, location, location. It's like real estate. Charlotte, I think, has been really successful. It's a transportation hub, so that helps. It's easy for people to get there. They can host a meeting, people can fly there direct, they can drive there, those kind of things. I think that helps. Or you have some other aspect, natural scenic beauty, that kind of thing, or you have a great facility. You're willing to put the dollars into the facility. Those things are all important. I think Rocky Mount has that. We can see, and particularly coming out of COVID, I think people are going to be more willing to drive to locations than they are to fly. So what you really need for location, location, location is good highway access. You guys have great highway access. And then you need really the facilities, not just for the meetings, but also the lodgings, the dining. Those things help too, because where you really get the spend from the people is when they're out of those meetings and they're going out to dinner or they're catching a ball game or just doing some other leisure activity or staying the night. The longer you can get people to stay the night, the more they spend and invest in your community.
Sure. So I totally get that. So I guess, one of the easier, more natural places for us to consider, given that we're, call it between Raleigh and Outer Banks and on the major north-south highway is just try to figure out how to capture some of that customer count that's passing through every single day, whether it's going north or south or
Exactly.
whether
Or
it's headed
or the
west or east.
Yeah, or the people that are regionally close by. You could go all the way up to Virginia, D.C. That's an easy drive. And if you've got something that they'll want to do, if it's a sporting event, if it's a musical event, we went to Rocky Mountain a few months ago to see the Harlem Globetrotters, which was a great thing to see. That's a super fun, wholesome family entertainment. We drove from Raleigh. Would have driven twice as far to see that.
Sure.
So I think, what you want to do is look regionally and find those things that you can get to draw people into your community.
Yeah, of course, one of the things that we have really kind of taken off with, thanks primarily to the redevelopment of the Rocky Mountain Mill by the Goodmans, has been craft breweries. And I tell you what, that has really had more of an impact than I think I would have appreciated at the very beginning. So I think I read somewhere, and you would probably be the subject matter expert, that North Carolina has more craft breweries than any other state than other like Colorado, or I don't know. We're certainly the top 3, or we were.
Yeah, yeah, more than any other state in the South. We're the
Okay.
South's leading craft brewery place, and what I think is really neat is some of the really unique places we have. We don't just have a lot of them, but we've got unique ones like the Rocky Mountain Mills. You're not going to find a place like that anywhere. And then you add the tiny hotels there to it, the tiny rooms, and that's an experience, that people will travel for.
Well, what's interesting is I've had a number of my friends, my peer group, actually go spend a weekend there, even though it's literally a couple blocks away, just because it is a different perspective, a different view, a different feel. And that's just kind of interesting to think of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And particularly during COVID, if people don't really want to take a longer trip, that's a nice, safe local getaway to as you start to emerge from this, to do a trip that's really easier. It's local. It's going to benefit the area and make you feel good.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about your crystal ball. What are you seeing in a post-COVID world? How long does it take for, folks to really start to travel in earnest? And what does that look like? Are the patterns the same or maybe different? Any thoughts?
Yeah, we're looking at consumer mindset. We do studies every week with a national company, looks at what people are thinking, and we really think people will start traveling this summer. Hopefully, early summer, um, definitely by late summer. What we saw is people are very satisfied with the way the vaccine's been rolling out across the U.S. They feel safer. There were a lot of people that said they wouldn't travel until they got the vaccine. Now a lot of those people are saying, well, I'm at least going to plan that travel before I get the vaccine, and maybe I'll go after I've only gotten one shot. So I really think we're going to start seeing those people travel again. But like you said, there will be some differences. There's going to be a reluctance to fly for a while for some people. There's going to be a reluctance for people to go to large events and those kind of things, unless those events can show that they're doing the right safety protocols, that they're taking care. There's still some fear there and uncertainty that people feel. So the more places can do to reassure them that they're doing it the right way. We have a program called Count on Me NC, and I know the event center is a great partner in that. They wear the masks, they show the signage, and I think that kind of stuff really helps. But we don't see leisure travel getting back probably until sometime in 2022 to the level it was before. And then meetings and business travel, I think even later, maybe even 2024 before it gets back to where it was. I think we'll get a surge of things that come back this summer, this fall, but it's not going to be quite the same for still some time to come.
Sure. So you're saying one of the things in your mission It's not only just tourism, but how do you get companies to relocate or locate to North Carolina? So what are you finding in those conversations that you're having, and what types of industries are you trying to recruit or have provided an emphasis for?
Yeah, so things are actually going very well in the recruiting process. We've seen some near record years with companies very interested in North Carolina. You know, we've got a great business climate, we've got low tax rates, and we're a really popular place for workforce, and that's what people really need. They need the skilled people that can do those jobs. We've got a great university system and a great reputation for doing that. So we're looking at all sorts of industries. Our main industries, of course, manufacturing, aerospace. We've got a lot of pharmaceutical companies that have come to North Carolina and doing well, and we continue to do that, as well as transportation, different types of transportation, anywhere from airplanes to cars and automobiles. We're really seeking and moving ahead on those with some great results.
Good. So, any areas in the state in particular drawing a lot more attention than others? Anything you can share along those lines?
Yeah, from a leisure travel standpoint, it's been really fascinating that people have wanted to get outside, um, even people who don't usually get outside. So we're seeing a lot of people with first time experiences outdoors. So what we've noticed is that if you can really showcase what you've got going that's outside right now and help people to understand how they do it and how they can enjoy it, that really helps. We've seen a lot of inexperienced people. So the more education we can provide them, they'll like it. And what's really interesting is um, they don't want to just go to the mountains or the coast. They just want to be outside. And even if it's an urban trail or urban area that has great outdoor resources, those are very popular as well. We're also seeing it's starting to creep up in the mindset that we watch is people want to get back to those cities, the urban feel. They want to go to that concert. They want to go to the sporting event. That desire is still there. So as soon as we can get those safety protocols to make people feel like they're safe, they'll start heading back for that too.
So, you think that the desire to be outside is something that's a reaction to COVID, or do you think that's sort of a new trend or a growing trend, or maybe both?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. It's It was first a reaction to COVID, and then I think people realized they enjoyed it. You know, maybe they had forgotten how fun it was to go ride a bike or just be out in the woods. And so we've seen it first as a reaction, and now it's gotten its own momentum and become sort of a movement. And what I'm really interested in is one of the things we've really seen expand are purchases of RVs, recreational vehicles. We've seen a lot of that because people they wanted to get outside and they wanted to stay outside. They didn't want to be in a hotel. They thought this was going to be a great alternative for them. Now that was definitely caused by COVID. Once we're past COVID, the need for that goes away, but an RV is not a one-time, use purchase. It's something that all these people are going to have, and they're going to want to take them out next year and the year after and the year after that. So I think part of what we're doing is looking at ways in which we can do more to promote some of this sort of RV friendliness of our areas, because we think, people that have made big investments in these vehicles, they're going to want to use them in the future.
Sure. So look, we have what I think are two fantastic folks in our area that work in tourism, work along the same lines that you do, and I'm just curious how they kind of plug into your organization. But Elizabeth Burns over in Edgecombe County, and of course Barbara Green in Nash County, we think the world of them and really appreciate the work they're doing. But how do they affiliate with an organization such as yours?
Oh yeah, we rely on them for a lot. We have a website, and most of our advertising and things like that drives traffic to our website. That's visitnc.com. Now that website really needs to have everything that's going on in North Carolina. I've only got a staff of about 10 people, so I can't tell what's going on in all 100 counties. So I rely on the local tourism office to fill up all that information on my website, keep it live, keep it updated, and keep it accurate. And so your local tourism offices do that. They also help us with events promotion and advertising. We do a lot of cooperative advertising. We try and go out and buy ads with space for tourism partners to go in. And a lot of times now people are doing digital advertising. And in digital advertising, a lot of times you'll have a minimum buy. Say you have to spend $10,000 or $15,000 with this company to get that buy. Sometimes for the smaller areas in tourism, that can be overwhelming and stop them from being able to advertise. So what we do is we try and do a lot of cooperative buys where we go in and we either cover some of that cost or we pool together different areas to work together, and that way they can meet the cost and still do the advertising. Your folks in Nash and Edgecombe are great. They work with us all the time, and that's the real key because they're the connection to those local businesses. They know what's going on at the event center. They know what's going on at Prime Steakhouse. They know all that stuff way more than I do. So we really rely on them a lot to get that message out.
Sure. And now how are these initiatives funded? I mean, I think part of it is through tax dollars that flow through, hotel stays. But maybe you can describe that a little bit more for folks that are watching, because I think that's
Yeah.
important for people to understand.
Yeah, no, I think it is exactly. On a local level, and I think this is really, it's a great idea. So just about every county, I think 88 of the 100 counties in the state has some sort of local tourism office. They're typically called Convention and Visitors Bureaus, CVBs. They might be part of a chamber, or they could be called a Tourism Development Authority, a TDA. But that's authorized by legislation. And what it does is it says, okay, when somebody comes and stays in a hotel or an Airbnb or a rental, we're going to take a bit of that as a tax. It's usually anywhere from 3 to 6%. And we're going to take that money and we're going to give it to the county. And that county is going to use it to try and get more people to come and stay in that hotel or that Airbnb or those rentals. So the idea is it's sort of a self-funding model where you can get the visitors themselves to pay to help promote themselves. And also the monies can go to tourism related infrastructure. So if say you were working on a convention center or you wanted to have a new attraction and help fund it, you could use part of that tourism dollars. Those are called occupancy taxes, occupancy tax laws, because the residents don't pay them. They're actually paid by people staying in a hotel. Now, if you're a resident and you stay in the hotel, you're still going to pay them. But that's essentially the way most local tourism offices are funded across the state. So it's sort of a self-perpetuating model. The more visitors you can get to come in and stay at your hotels, the more money that flows into those organizations, the more marketing they can do to get more people hired, to get more people employed in the industry. And, tourism employs almost 500,000 people in North Carolina. And there are
Wow.
46,000 businesses that are tourism businesses across the state. So it's a big employer, and this allows that to keep going. Now, at the state level, we're a little bit different. There isn't a statewide occupancy tax. We're funded through the legislature from the General Assembly. Through to the Economic Development Partnership. And we did receive some CARES Act funds this year that were really beneficial to us and helped us to work with the local tourism offices and promote them. The challenge of the model that they've got is it works great when people are coming and staying in the hotels, but when you have something like COVID or a hurricane or a rock slide or something that stops the people from coming in and staying in the hotels, they don't have the money that they need to market at a time when they really need to market it. So we've tried to do as much as we can to get federal relief from the CARES Act and from the other programs to try and help replace some of those dollars that they lost, because it's kind of a shame at the time when we're going to need everybody to be advertising the most. Some of them are really struggling just to have the funds to keep the business going.
Sure. Well, I think that's something that everybody's felt during COVID. How successful were you in finding some of those CARES monies at the local level, or is that just really open to the state?
Yeah, it's up to the state to a certain extent. The North Carolina Travel and Tourism Association got a $1.5 million grant that we were able to get out in basically $30,000 or $25,000 increments. We were able to get 78 of those out, 78 grants out. We did a program where we actually had a $5 million that we used as what we called not grants, but we gave credits in our co-op program. So tourism offices all around the state were able to buy into our co-op program without actually spending the money. We used CARES Act money for that. So far, just in the state's efforts alone, there's been about 6.5 million across the state in CARES Act funds that have gone to help promote people. So I think that's really beneficial, and we've seen that our numbers have held as well as many other places. But boy, we really are hoping to get back going pretty soon again, because it's been I know it's been really tough on a lot of businesses.
No question about it. I'm certainly glad and hopeful that recovery is soon and strong and sudden because, it's been a real struggle for a lot of folks. And I appreciate CARES Act money. I appreciate the government really trying to assist us in a lot of ways, but, that's not sustainable. And so sooner is better for all of us, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the trouble. It's this really tough situation of how do you help people the best, and in a situation where right now we couldn't get people to come. If you ran a restaurant, it didn't matter how great a restaurant it was. If people aren't allowed to eat in it, it's just not a business model that's going to work. That's going to be simple. And my worry really is that a lot of the ones that were impacted were the unique, distinct local ones, and those are the ones that are most important to growing that tourism market, because, chain restaurants are everywhere, that people don't travel for them. But, when you've got a really unique, distinct place, people will travel for that. And that's important to keep.
Well, I know that I have, and that's one of the joys I have is sitting out for a great meal with good company and great fellowship. That's one of the greater joys of my life. And I have traveled to many places to go to their call it unique restaurant. Since I'm the mayor of Rocky Mount, I'm probably not going to talk about them, but I will talk about Prime, and I will talk about Lou Rita's, and I will talk about some of our other local establishments, the Chill Spot, Mo Deloche, and so on and so forth. But, it is those guys have been challenged during this period of time. If you didn't have a drive-through, I think it really hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And what we saw is that where you really get the economic impact is from the restaurants who were hurt by this. So unfortunately, the guys you need the most got hurt the worst. We really hope they weather it, because I know you guys have some great places to eat. So I'm hoping
We
to get back
do,
there as
we
soon as
do.
possible.
Well, look, man, I appreciate you spending a little bit of time chatting with us and telling us kind of how it works. And I think really what the take home here is it's about building the better mousetrap. You got to advertise it like you would any other business. You have resources at the state level, but at some level, it still comes down to that local population and their risk tolerance as it relates to trying to build that mousetrap, whatever it may be, enhance or celebrating the benefits that community has, or the attributes.
That's certainly it. If you look at the places that have been successful, some of them have this great natural scenic beauty. They're the Outer Banks or whatever, but a lot of these places were built because somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to put a racetrack there. Or I'm going to get the community to put a convention center there. I'm going to put a ski slope in this place." And it takes that type of bold movement and dedication, and you got to stick to it to be successful. If you build it, they will come, but they won't come if there's nothing for them to do.
And rarely is it meteoric in terms of its rise either. You build it and they'll come. It's not, the next 30 days. It takes a little while to build it. And I think folks sometimes lose patience in that process. But I'm excited to see some of the things that we've done in the past. Our event center, I'm excited to see it get opened. And hopefully you guys will come back, see the Harlem Globetrotters plus some other events.
Yeah, and I think that's what you guys have done is really smart. Those type of flexible centers, that can host a lot of sporting events. Everybody talks about the professional sports and those kind of things. What really makes a lot of money are those amateur AAU, the girls basketball, the boys soccer. Those tournaments are tremendous money makers for communities, because the whole family comes and stays the whole time of that tournament. So I think what you guys have done there is a really smart thing. It'll pay off in the long run.
I was looking here for some numbers. I thought I had some, but I missed it, but the impact of our sports complex is tremendous. I mean, it's 20, 30, $40 million of impact in the community, and unfortunately, our event center hasn't been open long enough to really have any measurable outcomes yet, but I'm sure it will have a very similar impact, and those are things that folks don't necessarily see, but it does create a lot of jobs. It creates jobs that may be a concession, it may be things you don't typically think of, but that are very impactful in the community.
I think that's the best point. People don't see that. Family comes for a girls' volleyball tournament. They stay in the hotel. They're spending approximately $1,000 when a family visits North Carolina. They're not just they're spending it, yeah, at the restaurant, yeah, at the hotel, but that hotel is also employing, you know, lawyers. They're employing bankers. They're employing people that come in and clean the sheets. They're employing landscapers. They're employing uh, power. They're doing a lot of things. So it's not just those one or two businesses. There's a ripple effect that really goes all the way across the economy of your community.
Right. Absolutely, and so we just need to keep on keeping on. Hope for the COVID-19 just to pass us in the rearview mirror. I'm afraid it's going to be with us for a long time, but at least we could normalize it as something that feels manageable.
Oh, I think so. And I think you guys are going to be one of the great success stories of this state with all that's going on there and all that you guys are building up to. We'll be talking in the future about you guys as an example of how to really, really do it right.
Well, thank you much. I appreciate that, and anything we can do to help you and your journey and your vision for tourism in North Carolina, we'd love to be part of that.